I'm Steve Miller. I'm the Pinal County Supervisor for District 3. I've held that position now for 8+ years. I'm starting my 3rd term. I was born in Mesa Southside Hospital, which was about the only hospital up in the near valley, but my roots are actually Tempe. I was raised in Tempe. My dad was a home builder, and so we would move from subdivision to subdivision. So I consider Tempe as my hometown. Graduated from high school there, and that's where my roots are. For some people that might know who Wallace and Ladmo are, it was a great kids show. I lived across the street from Ladmo for a period of time, and his son and I, he was my first best friend. We were like 5 years old when we met, and we probably were like little devils running around Tempe. I must have been a quirky little kid in the fact that when I was 12 years old in 1964, I sat and watched the Democrat National Convention and the Republican National Convention from start to finish at 12 years old. And the rest of the kids were outside playing. I'm inside watching this stuff on black and white TV. It fascinated me though, and politics and politicians, the founding fathers, the history of America. I always loved it. I studied it. I think this is the greatest country in the world. I don't think there's a place in the world that you could live that you'd have the liberties that you have here. And it's always fascinated me to see how this country developed. My dad had taught me the carpentry trade at a very young age. I knew how to sheet a roof, I knew how to finish concrete before I went to high school. So, and he used to say, I don't know if I can send you to college, but I'll teach you how to make a living. I could put on a set of nail bags and go make a paycheck. In some circles, I'm still considered a newcomer. I came here 50 years ago to Pinal County. When I came down here, the phone book was maybe this thick. I think there was about 9,000 people that lived in what was considered Casa Grande proper. You only had to dial 5 numbers to make a phone call. A phone call to Florence was long distance. But I fit right in. I tell you, I felt so at home in Pinal County because Casa Grande accepted everybody. There was only 2 things that people really cared about when you came to town, because you were a newcomer, you stood out, you were a newcomer. But it was your work ethic and your word. And if you were good on both of those, you were brought into the fold. I met my wife. She was going to court reporting school, dated for a little over a year, and ended up getting married. She's only lived in 2 houses in Pinal County, and they're only 2 blocks apart. So she didn't venture very far from home. We have 3 children, 2 daughters and a son. Amy, my oldest, has 3 girls. My middle daughter has a son. And then Robert has a boy and a girl. So I have 6 grandchildren. They all live in Casa Grande. They all left Casa Grande, and they all moved back to Casa Grande, which I still am trying to figure that out. I don't know, but again, I think that's great because I do get to see my grandchildren on a pretty regular basis, and so they're not so far that I have to buy a plane ticket to go see them, and it's easy enough to say, I'll see you, I gotta go home. Having raised a family, people would say, you need to run for city council. You know everything, Steve. And I go, I don't know everything. I know very little, but I think I can help you get through the maze of government. A gentleman by the name of Tom Ramsdale, we were talking, and I said, I'm thinking about running for city council. And he goes, you should do that, Steve. I go, what? And I said, why do you say that? He says, I just think you'd be a good city councilman. He says, come over on Saturday and we'll sit down and talk about it. And I said, okay. And we went over and poured ourselves a cup of coffee, and he's got a yellow notepad and a pencil and he's ready to go. And he says, why do you want to be city councilman? I said, I don't know. He threw the pencil down and said, you go back and figure out why you want to be a city councilman and then come back and talk to me. So I did. I just kind of thought, well, why would I want to be a city councilman? Then I came back and I told him, I gave him a list of things. It was a platform. And he said, okay, let's go. And so I ran. I actually got enough votes at the primary level. I didn't even have to go to the general. So I had beaten an incumbent that had been there for quite a while. You know, it was kind of one of those things where I went, oh no, now I'm an elected official. How did that happen? You know, now what do I do? Having married into a large agricultural family, I understood the concerns of the ag community. And I actually had to go out and get those certificates of assured water for subdivisions when I was in the developer, contractor, home building business. So I understood that process. And when I was on the city council, I ended up aligning myself with a gentleman by the name of Dick Powell, Councilman Powell, who also has a passion for water. We came to a lot of the same conclusions of the water. I would tell you that Dick Powell and I figured out that there might not be enough water probably about 12 to 13 years ago. And we did it on the back of a napkin. So it's, you know, we were just kind of saying, look, I don't know, if you look at this consumption and you look at the home building rate, you know, we were suspicious of the whole thing, right, years ago. The state of Arizona is in the worst drought I've ever seen, okay? I'm 69 years old, so, you know, we're not going to be out of water tomorrow. I mean, I just think there's a lot of little things that we're going to have to look at. Farmers are going to get more efficient all along, even though the Arizona farmers are some of the most efficient farmers in the United States on water use. I mean, the department would tell you that we use less water today than they used in 1955. So, and when I say we, meaning everybody. But we do have, from 1970, we had 2 million people in Arizona. Today, we have about 7 million people. So things have shifted, things have changed to a more residential life than an agricultural life. Has it been a concern? Sure, but you know, it's hard for people to understand when there's water still coming out of their tap that there could be a water problem. In 2012, I stepped down to run for the county supervisor. Again, I prevailed in the very first election, and I've loved every minute of this job. That may mean I'm sick and demented. I don't know for sure, but I do like helping people with getting through the maze of government, because it can be difficult at times. What excites me about Pinal County is the growth. It is my desire to bring more industry into this county. Our workforce migrates to Phoenix and heavily out of the Santan area and heavily out of the Maricopa area. And I want to change those, I want to change that pattern. Matter of fact, I would love to see more people come into our area to work. I never sweat the small stuff. I try to just really look at the big picture. And I think we've done a good job here in Pinal County with the previous board and this current board. I'm anxious to really have a couple of years under our belts with these guys. I like their approach, I like their thought process. We're just going to try and make this that county that everybody wants to live and work in. And that's difficult, but I think we're making headway on that.